Oh, the music stopped. I was just having too much fun. What's happening, everyone? This is Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and welcome to We Nation Podcast, part of the We Nation radio program. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you don't know, We Nation Radio is a 24/7 children's music radio station that provides the best and family-friendly global beats for little feet. And we provide R&B, hip hop, funk, jazz, reggae, go-go, calypso, zydeco, African world music, and more, all age appropriate for those 0 to 12 and culturally relevant. And today, I am so glad that you're here to join us because I'm here to talk about a very, very, very important issue that's taking place in this country. There is a movement to attack truth, a movement to try to get our teachers to not teach what our children need to hear, and we want to touch base on that and talk about a day of action. But the day of action is only a starting point, or just a kind of a momentum for activity that's going to be taking place throughout the rest of the year. And let me just say that lawmakers in at least 44 states have introduced legislation or pursued other measures that attempt to require educators to lie to students about the role that racism, sexism, heterosexism, transphobia, and other forms of oppression throughout the U.S. These laws and restrictions have been imposed in at least 18 states. I mean, they're making these things laws, and the rights has declared the right, the right. Let me get that clear. The right has declared war on teaching the truth about structural racism and sexism, and on LGBTQ plus youth. And so there's a counteroffensive because for every action there's a counteraction, and there's a counteraction to speak the truth. And I'm honored and thrilled to be a part of that process. And this June 10th, not Juneteenth, June 10th, 2023, there's a movement around this whole country that is called Teach Truth Day of Action. And I want to talk a little bit about it, and especially from the standpoint of the Zen Education Project. We have two awesome people who are going to talk to us about the activities that are going on a national level, but also on a local level here in the Washington, D.C. area. And then I'm going to share with you the role that we're going to be playing with that. So right now, I want you to help me to welcome to the We Nation podcast our good friends Keesha Ceran with Teaching for Change and Vanessa Williams with the DCAES. And of course, I can't remember. I know it's the DC area. Don't tell me. DC area educators for social justice. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I
All
was trying to
right.
hide the sign a little bit, make little pop quiz for you. I don't believe in them, but yes, it's right there. Yeah,
All
in case you
right.
get a reminder.
Okay. Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you all for first of all for being great partners to the Uncle Devin Show and We Nation Radio, and we're so honored to be a co-sponsor of this event. I'm gonna start with you, Keisha. Tell a little bit about yourself, and then talk a little bit about this day of action that's taking place on June 10th.
Yeah, thanks, Devin, for having us, and thank you to We Nation Radio. We're excited to be here. I'm Keesha Ceran. I'm the Associate Director of Teaching for Change. We are a pre-K through 12 education nonprofit located here in Washington, D.C., and we do place-based work in the D.C. area, which Vanessa will talk a little bit more about, and we also do national work as well. And through one of our projects that we co-direct with Rethinking Schools, our Zen Education Project, we are hosting our third annual National Teach Truth Day of Action on June 10th. And Devin, as you mentioned, a lot of the pieces, it's the first, not first, but most public counter narrative to the anti-CRT movement. It's the most public counter narrative to a lot of the racial injustice, voter suppression, and as you shared, the continued infringement on LGBTQ plus rights, primarily trans human rights, and thinking about the ways that we are uplifting and centering educator voice, because we don't always hear educator voice when it comes to the many town halls that certain organizations are publicly hosting. We often just hear the response of, as we mentioned, the right, the Republican Party primarily, the conservative party that continues to restrict what we can teach. who can teach it, and then also the content that gets to be taught as well. So happy to be here.
Thank you so much, and I think that the work that's being done is very important, and so on this particular day, I believe there's over 50 different activities going on. Can you talk a little bit about that and kind of give us an idea about where the different states that are participating?
Yeah, that's right. So we are excited that we have about 50 sites and hopefully counting of communities that are coming together from Los Angeles to Seattle. We have sites that are going to be in New York, Massachusetts. My home state of Ohio will also be hosting something. Florida will have some events. I believe I saw Atlanta is also hosting things. So throughout the country, community educators, teachers unions are coming together at historic sites to amplify the importance of why we teach that important history and the value that that history is to our country, to our young people. It's timely that we're having this conversation on, if you will, the anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre. And so just really thinking about, for a lot of people, they probably didn't hear about the Tulsa Massacre until almost 3 years ago on the offset of the racial rebellion and post the unfortunate murder of George Floyd. And so really thinking about why it's so important and integral for it to be commonplace that this history is being taught and told. So we're excited to see these actions. They can be anything from bringing banned books. I actually have like a really cool sign. You can see my swag is all about teach banned books. And so really just thinking about the ways that we celebrate the books that are being banned, talking pledges, having speeches, walking historic sites, so doing historic site tours in cities. So it's a lot of different ways, creative ways that people can get involved. We just saw a really great one coming out of the Los Angeles area, if I have that correct, over Memorial Day, where community came out, high school, middle school students, and the community really just amplifying and centering. And I think a really great kickoff to what we will see happen in a couple of weeks as well.
Okay. Great. And so, Vanessa, I want to talk to you a little bit about local activity going on in the Washington, D.C. area. Speak a little bit more about some of the local events taking place here so that for those who are in this area can know. And then if they're in other parts of the country, they can also think about ways that can make their contribution to this process.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I know the one that's happening in DC proper, again, on June 10th, is going to be at the African American Civil War Memorial. We partnered with them since we first started doing these Teach Truth Days of Action. So this will be our third time partnering with them. The founder of the museum, Frank Smith, has been a pillar in the community, and we love partnering with them specifically on this event, but throughout different opportunities as well. We've got a long-standing relationship and are just continuing to nurture and grow that. But the idea and the significance of that, again, is just the fact that they are right here in DC, and it's just such significant Black history that isn't often taught. We want to make sure that the narrative that Black people were, I mean, literally on the ground, right, serving in every war, which we know is tainted history, and still, because of that action, at least help the nation get closer to realizing the democracy that we claim, right? So we partner with them, with the African American Civil War Museum and Memorial, have our rally there, and we have educators being the MC, educators that are grabbing the mic and giving their pledges to teach the truth or to continue teaching the truth, and also encourage community members, students, anybody that's got a stake in public education, which is everybody, right? Education is a public good. We want to make sure that that continues to be uplifted, that everyone sees the value in being in solidarity with educators, continues to make sure our voices are louder than the disrespect that the GOP is giving us, right? So we are, again, like gathering at the African American Civil War Memorial, June 10th, 11 a.m., to make sure that the narrative is more accurately portrayed, that we are more powerful than what the right is. Strategic, like the small but very loud voices, very, or excuse me, few but very loud voices that are out there that are, just wielding a broken system to make their advantage come out like in their favor, right? There are other events happening in the DC area, or like in the kind of there's one in Anne Arundel County. I'm forgetting exactly what city it is, but I know it's in Maryland. I'm forgetting what their action is as well. But if you aren't in DC proper, there's or if you're in the DC area, but you want to go support a different action, there's that one there. There's also another one happening in Richmond as well. They've got they are partnering with Black Lives Matter at School to recognize an African American cemetery and just have their historical sites out there, right?
Sure.
So it's just there's so much happening just right here in the DC area, and again across the nation at the almost 50 growing sites.
So if people want more information about that, I know that we have, first of all, your Twitter page, which is very, very a good source to get information. Where else can they get information to find out more about what's going on locally?
Sure thing. Yeah. So if you go to our events page, so it's DC Area Educators for the number 4 socialjustice.org. You'll be able to see a lot of events that we like from our partner organizations or any sort of social justice education related events that are happening usually weeks and months out. So you can check out that page there, our Twitter page. We have a Facebook group as well, but there are plenty of ways to get tapped in through those outlets.
And I'll ask you the same, Keesha, in terms of on a national level, if people want more, want to just first of all go. I mean, the site that you have is full of everything that they would need: banners, posters, tags, everything you can think of. Where can they go to get that information?
Yeah, great. They can go to teachtruthAction.org. So again, that's teachtruthAction.org. And I appreciate that you also shared there's Twitter profiles, there's Facebook banners, there's all these different resources that we're providing. You can get the cool buttons, our Teach Banned Book buttons, and just different ways that you can connect. So if you aren't able to attend an event that's happening at one of these sites, you can also just think about ways that you can amplify on social media as well. So can you be by a historic site in your community and taking a picture, selfie with you and your pledge to teach truth? So there's many ways that you can get involved. You don't have to be a site coordinator. The more that we continue to see this amplification, not only leading up to June 10th, but beyond June 10th, also stirs morale for educators that they're not alone, right? And I think one of the things that we appreciate here in the DC area and the work that we're doing to uplift what's happening here is not only are we amplifying the experiences that are happening in the DMV, right? DC, Maryland, and Virginia, but we're also sitting in the nation's capital where we can uplift and stand in solidarity with educators across the country. So we might not see the same concerted efforts, sidebar Virginia, but we do see opportunities for us, one as a national organization and also in our platform here in DC, to really stand in solidarity with those educators that are and continue to be at risk. And I love what Vanessa shared just about the blatant disrespect by the GOP. We talk a lot about why it's so important that we value and support educators. And one thing I stand on is that educators are first responders for our communities, and the way that our policies are being created and legislative acts are happening, it restricts their ability to really be the first responders that we desire them to be, and we take them for granted, right? And so thinking about the ways, again, that we can show our support, show our solidarity, in amplifying how important it is for all of community to come around the public good that is education.
All right. For those who may be just tuning in, you're listening to We Nation Radio, We Nation Podcast, which is part of the We Nation Radio Network. I'm Uncle Devin, the children's drumcussionist, with two amazing organizers, two amazing people. We got Keesha Ceran with the Teaching for Change, and also Vanessa Williams with the DC Area Educators for Social Justice. And we're talking about the Teach Truth Day of Action coming up on June 10th, 2023. I say that because sometimes people might see this video sometime from now, and we're right now we're talking about 2023. I know it's going to continue on for many, many years, but the struggle, continues. And I'll just say that We Nation Radio is a sponsor of this event because our very existence was to bring truth to the whole area of children's music and provide educators with another resource to have access to different voices and different stories in children's music. For years, children's music has been pretty much catering to rock, folk, and pop music, or really the dominant culture in the United States. And we realized that there were too many artists out here uh, who had a voice, who had a story, who had wonderful music in many different genres, but had no place of having it heard. That's why we created We Nation Radio. We stands for Watoto Entertainment and Education, and Watoto is Swahili for children. And so it was only natural for us to want to endorse and be a part of this process. We are in schools on a weekly basis. We're providing opportunities not only in music but book reading and story time and all to be able to help bring about truth. And so, guess what? If you're in Florida and you're watching this, you can still tune in to We Nation Radio. They can't stop us. You know what? If you're in Florida, go to the Zen Project. They can't stop us. Okay, so we have resources for you to be able to get around these backward laws. And keep in mind, slavery was a law. Okay, segregation was a law. So just because it's a law doesn't make it right, and it's up to us to change that. So I want to just share a little bit more about that, and I guess I can even ask a little bit more in terms of let me go see if I can pull up the website. But talking about some of I believe there was one program, and specifically here in DC, it was, I think, that I remember reading about. It was called the School Safety Act. Are you in a position to talk a little bit about that? And I know that it was endorsed by the, oh gracious, Black. I can't remember the name of the group. I think it was Black Hawks or something to that degree. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure, I can go ahead, and Vanessa, feel free to jump in. So we, through the work that we do with the DC Area Educators for Social Justice, we are part of a coalition. I kind of laughed when you said two great organizers, because at times I'm like, am I really an organizer? But and so we're part of a coalition in many different ways about how do we create spaces of holistic, essentially, well-being for young people, right? And one of the tenets that we believe in, and also part of our endorsement, support, and continuation of Black Lives Matter at school, is that we will have police-free schools. So we come alongside incredible student leaders and young voices in this city who have been uplifting and seeking support in policy with DC City Council in particular around police-free schools. And there have been a few successes, which I can't name off the top of my head, but one of them that we are continuing to uplift and support is this new School Safety Enhancement Act, which would redirect and allocate, I believe it's about $4 million, if I understand correctly, and I could be off, but there is a 4 in that,
Wow.
to supporting like school counselors, to removing SROs completely from DC public schools, to reimagining what school safety and well-being can actually look like from the perspective of these young people who are navigating industrial systems at young ages, right?
Right.
And so I know in particular there's a lot of concern here in DC, especially with all of the unfortunate shootings that we are witnessing happening, and young people continuing to be victims of gun violence in communities that continue to be harmed. And our hope is that as we continue to center young people's voices, and particularly why it's so important in the work that we do, why it's important in the history and accuracy of that history, is because young people then feel empowered, right, to change the experiences that they are seeing, to call adults authority into action, to actually make decisions that support them. And so we are grateful for our comrades in the Black Swan Academy and the young people that continue every day to champion those efforts. And we're looking forward if that's like the best phrase to say, but we are, you had mentioned, Devin, like we're going to continue to do this work until the work is no longer needed. And so
Yeah.
we will stand behind that community and our community of young people, and recognizing again that it's the police-free schools is a national movement. So what success we have here will also be successful for the other cities that are building police-free school coalitions going forward. So if you are in DC in particular, please pay attention to the School Safety Enhancement Act. Please encourage your city council member to really think thoughtfully about this act and the provisions that it's requiring as we look for real solutions that will help support the young people of this city.
You know, I remember being a part of the safety patrol when I was in elementary school. In fact, in sixth grade, I was I was the captain. It was me and three others, and I didn't think much of it at the time. But the fact that we were talking about safety, and not necessarily policing, it's a totally two different pieces there, and that's why I support this act, because it's important that um, we put that emphasis and we empower our community for safety. I've belonged in different organizations that talk about community control, and this is part of that community control effort. So I really appreciate that. Let's go back over again real quick. How can, if someone wants to get more involved or want more information, what's the best way for them to reach, either on a national level or on a local level in Washington, D.C.? I'll start with you, Vanessa.
Yeah, so if you were wanting to follow more of our work, again on Twitter, it's DCAESJ. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so we're really active on that platform. We have a Facebook group, DC Area Educators for Social Justice. If you just search for that, and we have our website too. It's DC Area Educators for the number 4. socialjustice.org. There you can see all the work that we're doing, including upcoming events, our working groups for educators, and all the special programming and lessons and resources that we have that are curated by educators over the years.
Okay, thank you. And Keesha?
Yeah, and so at the national level for the Teach Truth Day of Action, you can follow or search teachtruithaction.org. And you can follow our Zen Education Project at Zen Ed Project on Twitter for more information as well. But again, teachtruithaction.org will get you all of the information that you need to know for the day of action, and continue to follow the Zen Education Project for more information as well. We at Teaching for Change have our hands in a lot of different and exciting things. I would be remiss if we didn't shout out the Uncle Devin Show for your continued support of our Teach the Beat program that we bring go-go to DC area classrooms through our DC Area Educators for Social Justice. And also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a project called our Social Justice Books, which also creates an intersection of why it's important to teach, ban books, and teach books and share books that reflect the everyday person and everyday community. So many things to check out here at Teaching for Change.
All right. So there's no reason for us not to get involved. No matter who you are, whether you have children in school or not, it doesn't matter. We should be very active in making sure that truth is taught at the every single level. And as we see on this map, there's activities all around the country. You can go to their sites. You can go to the Zen Education Project, teaching people's history at zenproject.org to get more information about it. And, I don't know if you all know, and I don't even know if I've ever sent it to you, but in my very first album, I had a song called Tell the Truth. I still do have a song called Tell the Truth. And we were actually working on a nonprofit called Tell the Truth when I first started, but we know how difficult it is to run a nonprofit and a full business project. So we never did go forward with the nonprofit, but I'll have to send you all the song, and I might have to kind of maybe redo it in light of everything that's going on. So I think you all enjoy it.
We
I
can do the
think that's
playlist.
the anthem. We
Right,
can have the
yeah.
Tell the Truth anthem right there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. And more importantly, thank you all for what you do and your passion. I know that this is certainly something that is true and dear to both of you all. And I've grown a lot and learned a lot from you all. So thank you so much, and for being wonderful partners and for standing up for truth in your own individual and collective way. All
Thank you
right.
so much.
All right. And there you have it. That was two amazing people that I've had the opportunity working with, and that's Keesha Ceran with the Teaching for Change, and also Vanessa Williams with the uh, DC area educators for social justice. Make sure you reach out to them. Make sure you follow that information. Again, just go to teachtruuthaction.org and get all the information that you need. You can go to all this, you can find all the social media sites and everything that's there. But it's important for us to stand up for truth, no matter who you are. That's very important. But listen, I need to get out of here. It's been an awesome time, and we're honored, and we're going to be sharing with you more about what we're going to do on June 10th. So if with the Uncle Devin Show, make sure you go to the Uncle Devin Show, sign up for our mailing list, get more information, or just follow us on We Nation Radio, and we will send some more information out to you so that when we have our discussion and talk about how we are going to be making our contribution to June 10th, so that we can be a part of that. But listen, I got to get out of here. I'm Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and just remember, life is a drum. So beat it.